2, 1, and we are live with huge news this week. Not one, but 2 super predators has fallen. And many of you have seen our interviews with Fred. Fred, huge congratulations, because if you're not familiar with Fred, he is at the forefront of a network of activists in France who have diligently been trying to take this Jean Luc Brunel super predator down. And it happened yesterday, but I was filming all day in London. I couldn't run home and get Fred on the live stream right away. All I could do was send him a text saying, wow. But we've got on camera today as fast as possible under the circumstances. And while I alert all of the followers that this is going live with the new link, Fred is going to fill you in on exactly how he got busted, where he was heading, what he's facing now, what might happen, you know, what the charges that are going to come out in the next couple of days. Take it away, Fred, and congratulations to you and the victims, Virginia, Maria, and all the victims as well. What a bloody cause for celebration.
Absolutely, and fantastic. Thank you very much for having me again, Shaun. It's a pleasure being here, and then obviously we're absolutely delighted with this news. I have to say, it doesn't come as a surprise to us investigators, because we kept the pulse on Jean Luc Brunel on his whereabouts. That's what we've been extremely discreet about releasing any informations, because we got so close that we basically knew pretty much where he was, who he was hanging around. We have the name of the people he was hanging around with. So we got very close. He had absolutely no clue that we were coming for him and we were releasing information. Having said that, what's interesting is that even before Wednesday, we knew that an arrest was imminent, but we didn't plan for him to try to escape or to try to fly abroad. So that was something that occurred really out of the blue. So was he tipped off or not? That's also something that remains to be discovered. But I think what's important to say is that this is the prolongation. This is simply the following up of the inquiry that was opened in in September last year in Paris by the prosecutor's office in Paris, just trying to basically understand the role of Jean Luc Brunel and also the role of Epstein. You know, in France, was he actually trafficking girls from France? Was he committing crimes in France? They wanted to find out if there were victims in this country, and also if French people like Jean Luc Brunel or Ghislaine Maxwell had committed crimes abroad against minors. So this part of a massive inquiry, a huge investigation from the OCRVP, and I think it bears its fruits with this arrest on Wednesday morning. They finally caught up with Jean Luc Brunel, found him in the airport in Roissy Charles de Gaulle, for those that know Paris, one of the major airports in the capital. And they basically literally slapped him in cuff, you know, simple as that. He was presenting himself for boarding a plane that was going to Senegal, to Dakar to be precise. The air company he was flying on was Air Senegal, sorry, and that's it. He didn't make it to the plane. They basically took him down, put him on cuff, and then basically the OCR VP came to the airport and picked him up, put him behind the bar. So that was pretty fast. And then we had the news from different sources, but we couldn't confirm it because the OCR VP didn't want to talk about anything. So we had to obviously to make sure with the airports and other people. I'll give a huge credit to FND. It's a fantastic journalist called Emmanuel Renier, has been working and has been the concept and the founder of Fait un Document, FND, for those that know. And he's the one that cracked it at a very early stage on Thursday morning, which really made us feel very comfortable, because he's a great journalist, and we know that he will never put that on his website unless there was serious indication that that could confirm that Jean Luc Brunel had been arrested. So this is why we were very comfortable. I spoke to Emmanuel, actually. I asked him, I said, can we go live with that? Because our source is telling yes, it's happening, but we need another confirmation. And I was able to do that, and then break the news in the morning on Twitter and other platform. I made a small video. Some people might have seen that as well in both languages, because I think the news was quite important, and we wanted to share that with the rest of the world. So yeah, Jean Luc Brunel is behind the bar. He's 74 years old. He's exactly where he belongs. Of course, the first questions that comes to mind is that how long will he stay behind bars? What are the charges? So the charges, it's important to understand that he's charged with probably the heaviest charges you could get as far as sex trafficking, human trafficking, and then rape with violence of minors of 15 years old and beyond 15 years old. So it's not only considering, rapes and sex trafficking, it's really basically the conspiracy of abusing girls in groups, so organizing crimes basically to traffic young girls and minors around the world. These are serious charges. And then obviously this piled up with all the other charges from various models back in the days when they used to come and work for Jean Luc Brunel when he was at the head of Karen Models, but even also earlier at Paris Planning. So there's so much complaint about his behavior, about his sexual harassment. And then obviously we saw other ladies coming from the UK with this famous BBC interview, this documentary that finally eventually got back on track, and that's been made available obviously to the investigation that allows basically the investigation to realize that there's more to it than just suspicions or allegations. So I think it's a cocktail of many things that has happened over the past, let's say 6 months, I would say, whereby there was no other choice left but to arrest Jean Luc Brunel to make sure that he doesn't flee the country and he can answer for his crimes.
Thank you, Fred. Brilliant introduction. We've got almost 1,000 people have jumped on right now.
Wow.
Within the first 5 minutes. People are just blown away that it's got this far, when many were incredulous, thinking that he would never be nailed because of his high connections. Now, to all the people who just jumped on, a lot of people perhaps are not familiar with all of the nitty-gritty of the Jean Luc Brunel case, but we have an entire series with Fred that I'm going to put in the description box below this video. And also, please support Fred on Twitter. I'll put his Twitter handle down there. And he also has a YouTube channel. A lot of it's in French, but he is going to get some stuff subtitled over for the English-speaking world. Now, if you're not familiar with the nitty-gritty of the Jean Luc Brunel case, could you just, we've done hours and hours on this, but Fred, perhaps within 5 minutes, could you just say the extent of his connections and what these guys did, the heinous crimes to the girls?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's quite challenging in a few minutes, because he has a history of mistreating women, and especially young women. So Jean-Luc Brunel his real name is Jean-Luc Brunel Ben Chamoul. He's come from a quite wealthy, well-off family in Paris, and the father was in the real estate business. He made a lot of money. So I would say that Jean-Luc Brunel was raised with a silver spoon in his mouth and had access already to the aristocracy and the best schools. So this is not a kid that is disturbed by a bad childhood. He's absolutely had all the chances that a young man could be given to be a successful person in his life. And Jean-Luc Brunel was attracted at a very young age to the modeling industry. He wanted to be part of this industry. He was a party animal. He loved to go out, loved to socialize, and obviously loved beautiful women. There's nothing wrong with that at all, until such a time where he's going to start to organize a number of beauty contests, pageants in South America, make a name for himself in Paris, and eventually being spotted by Claude François, a famous singer in France, which kind of give him a chance to be his scout, his model scout, with a girls model, a new model agency that Claude Francois set up in Paris. It's not going to last long. He's going to go and work with François Lano at Paris Planning, was probably major agencies. And then he's going to eventually leave the country to Ibiza, come back to Paris to work for Karen Models. He was so talented, he was so good at it, that he eventually became the director. He became the owner of Karen Models. This is where his adventure in France will finish, because obviously he gets a lot of attention, a lot of spotlights, a lot of documentaries mentioning, I would say the backstage of the fashion world. A lot of misconduct. A lot of girls are complaining that abuse and harassment has become a standard in this industry. And Jean Luc Brunel, I think, saw that it was better for him to move away from Paris for a while, and went on opening agencies and model agencies in the United States with his brother Arnaud Brunel, which was his investor, the guy that was backing him up financially. So Jean-Luc Brunel is going to find himself in New York very quickly with this venture with Next Model Management. During this time, he's going to catch up with an old friend of his, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is also a French citizen, as you know, although she hasn't spent much time in France. She's still a French person. She speaks fluently French, and they have a lot of property in France. The Menard family, the wife of Robert Maxwell. So Brunel is in the United States. He's basically starting to misbehave. His reputation is pretty bad. Photographers are describing him as an animal with girls. He's just doing exactly what he was doing in Paris. His history is repeating himself. And then eventually he's going to starting to literally steal the best models out of Next Management, and then bring them to his agency, the new agency that he set up. It's called Karen's Model of America. It's not going to last long, I think about 2 years, until such a time where Karen's Models management back in Paris will ask him to stop using the name. And this is where we're going to see the birth of MC Square in Miami, and another office in New York. As far as the MC Square office in Israel, people need to understand that this was already operating 3 or 4 years ahead of all the story that's been told. So this is not a young agency that has been created. This is something that was already in business before Jean-Luc Brunel did anything. A lot of model from MC Square, Israel and Tel Aviv was already brought into the Miami office and to the New York office. So this has been an operation that is quite long and has been in the doing for quite some time. So this is what's happening. Obviously, Epstein comes into the equation because Ghislaine Maxwell is going to introduce Brunel to Jeffrey Epstein. These guys, they're gonna kind of they have a similar attitude with regards to young girls. So I think they get on very well. And soon after, Epstein is going to try to set up a new model agency called E-Management, a kind of venture with elite model world, which didn't happen. Eventually, it kind of became a flop. Didn't really realize itself. And Epstein eventually will open a line of credit for Jean-Luc Brunel to start to operate MC Square in Miami and New York. So this is what we know. This is obviously there's much more details to that, but that is the overall Brunel. This is one of the top class scout model, absolutely great reputation, known by all the big fashion house in the world. He was a little bit the figure with John Casablanca of the Elite Model Agency and Gerald Marib, the 3 names that you will hear if you want to be an international top model. You will have to go through these guys. So yeah, they had a lot of responsibilities and they took a lot of advantage, that's for sure.
So all of Fred's links are now in the description box below this video. Please support Fred's work. I urge people to go on Twitter and congratulate Fred, congratulate Virginia, congratulate Maria Farmer, because these guys have just been day in, day out, relentlessly pursuing these super predators. And just to add a bit along there to what Fred expertly and concisely gave, like a 5 to 10 minute backstory of Jean Luc Brunel. And then when Jean Luc Brunel started to appear on this channel, one of the first videos we did was how that he had procured triplets. And there has been a lot of investigation into that, because there is a statement on the record in the legal paperwork saying that Epstein was bragging that Jean Luc Brunel had sent him 12-year-old triplets as a birthday gift, and they had performed oral sex. So that's how sinister these guys are. That's how low they go. Epstein was also documented in the legal paperwork by the victims as boasting that he had slept with over 1,000 girls from Jean Luc Brunel. And this is a pipeline, an international sex trafficking pipeline from France to America, but also webbing out all over the world. And if you go over the series on the channel that Fred has done on Jean Luc Brunel, we've done like 1 to 2 hours per episode. Fred really has tracked this to every single continent, basically. And a lot of the girls were procured from disadvantaged backgrounds, throwaway people. In the legal paperwork, it is documented that I think Prince Andrew, it was also documented, was present at an orgy, allegedly by the victims. This is in the legal paperwork, at an orgy on the island, where girls that have been procured by Jean Luc Brunel were present. And Virginia's on the record as saying, even though she was legally of age, the other girls participating in this orgy with Maxwell, with Epstein, with Jean Luc Brunel, these girls were, with Prince Andrew, Epstein, and Maxwell. They were saying that these girls were procured by Jean Luc Brunel. They didn't even speak English, and they were the easiest girls to take advantage of. So this is how heinous this Jean Luc Brunel character was. He was this massive provider of kids to these super wealthy, famous, powerful elites, all the way up to royalty and politicians. And many of the viewers have said over the months, with this guy's connections, there's no way this guy is going to get taken down. And he's just been out over there in France, getting away with all this shit. And now within a week, bam, 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 Nygard. Bam, 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 Jean Luc Brunel. So to everybody watching this is a huge day of celebration in our war against pedophiles and our end to the war on drugs. So my first, if you've got anything to add to that, Fred, about the heinous level of things with Epstein and Maxwell?
Yes, absolutely. It's just it was taking me back to the beginning of my investigation, and the reason why I got into that. You know, it's a dark subject, obviously, and a lot of people in France don't want to hear about it. You know, it's not a popular subject, let's face it. But what really got me in is the fact that these people that were born, you know, in privileged background, with money, top education, love and family. I mean, everything that you would wish for, you know, for any kids. And these lunatics basically forgot all about that and just realized that we can take advantage of those that don't have this privilege, that don't actually have any of that. You know, they are vulnerable. They just need love. They just need to be taken care of. They need help. They need guidance. And what they offer them is basically a honey trap, where you're going to be abused by Epstein, by Ghislaine Maxwell, by Jean Luc Brunel, and eventually, when we're done with you, we're going to sex traffic you to our pals. That is really a deranged mind. You know, these are people that just have no consideration for humankind whatsoever. So that's why it reminds me, it's taking me back there, because we are, as investigators, just the extension of the voice from the victims. You know, we're just crying out for the victims and say, hey, something needs to be done, you know, because justice is a big word, you know, everybody's using it, justice, but what truly means justice? What truly means justice for these victims, you know, that have spent most of their life reconstructing, rebuilding themselves, you know? So it's a crime that was made at the time, but it lost, you know, a life for some of them, you know? So I thought that was just not bearable, and that's why I'm here. So Maxwell is where she belongs, and Jean-Luc Brunel is definitely where he belongs. Yeah.
So when you contacted me yesterday, Fred, I briefly was able to look at the headline, and I saw that he was on route to Senegal. And immediately in my head, I thought, right, when the Nazis were trying to escape from Germany, and there was I've researched this, and the CIA was involved because they were recruiting some of them. The Vatican was involved. There was priests and high up in the Catholic Church were involved, helping these guys escape. And they went on these precarious routes through different countries and ended up in South America, a lot of them. I was thinking, is Jean Luc Brunel trying to do this kind of thing? What is Senegal a stepping stone for super predators on the run? Is it a harbor for villains because they can't extradite you? Why Senegal?
Well, this is an excellent question, and obviously it's a question on everybody's mind. You know, out of all the places, why would you escape to Senegal? I think you got to stay logical and feel like, you know, trying to think like a fugitive. You know, where do you need to go? Where's the final destinations? You know, at the end of the day, we all know Jean Luc Brunel doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in Senegal. No disrespect for our friend in Senegal, but I think Jean Luc Brunel has a certain standard of life. He's used to, you know, glamour and, you know, a lot of things. And I think that unfortunately, we can say that Senegal was just a stopover. It was for him to simply probably take a private jet on the tarmac, you know, stop over, get a fresh drink, and then back on the private jet. And the destinations probably, I think, from what I can kind of put together, there will be two options. One will be South Africa, because Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein and Brunel had a lot of connection with South Africa, so that could be one option. And then the most obvious options is for him to go back to where he has his friends, where he still has some kind of love out there, where nobody's looking for him, and that will be Brazil, because it's really just across. You know, it's not that far from Senegal. You know, just have to cross the Atlantic. So that will be my best guess. We'll probably see that. Probably the Senegal authorities should check what kind of private jet was on the tarmac there at the time, if there was someone waiting for them and so on. So it'd be interesting to have Senegal to do a small investigation on that, and I'm sure it will be done. But yeah, that's a guess at the moment, but we don't want to guess. What we want to do now is to understand from the OCRVP, and I believe they will come up eventually with some explanation as far as to where this is going from now, where we take it from there now, because he's behind the bar. He's obviously been interrogated. End of 2019, they talked to the guys. They definitely asked him a couple of questions. Why his name is popping up all the time on all these defamation, these affidavits, what's going on, you know? And then now this is much more serious, because in France, you don't arrest someone without nothing in your hand. You need to have some serious evidence before arresting someone. It's not just based on an allegation, because 48 hours later, which means basically at the end of today or tomorrow morning, it could be released. And that, I don't think the OCRVP could afford a scandal like this, to have Jean Luc Brunel basically released on bail, you know, because they just don't have enough to keep him behind the bars. That's just not an option. So what we can understand from their behavior, from the OCRVP, from the prosecution in Paris, is that they've taken the time, they stay quiet to gather all that intelligence, all that, you know, connections. And then more importantly, I believe, and we investigators here, I personally really believe it, is that someone is starting to sing. So I think that some informations are coming forward, and I think they've been able to kind of compile enough information to justify an arrest. Now, whether this arrest was planned to happen that fast, I'm not quite sure, but certainly anyway, it was imminent from the source we have inside. So was he tipped off? Was he trying to fly out? This is all these answers we will get, but it's pretty obvious that he knew that they were coming for him. Why would he go anywhere else? You know, France has no extradition law. There's no reason for him to go anywhere. We have great food. He's protected. He has his family here. There's no reason for him to go to Senegal. It doesn't make any sense, right? So he was just getting out.
People are commending us for our excitement. People are commending us in the live stream, Fred, for our excitement over this brilliant news. We're 20 minutes in. We're rapidly approaching 2,000 people watching. So if you have just jumped on, I'm here with Fred. This has been breaking news since yesterday. Jean Luc Brunel, super procurer for the Epstein Maxwell trafficking ring got nailed at the airport in France yesterday. 79 years old. It got away with this way too long. Fred here is at the forefront of taking this bastard down, exposing him with a group of activists over there in France. He's got all the expertise. Fred's links are in the description box. Please congratulate Fred, Maria Farmer, Virginia, and all of the other victims on the social media platforms, on Twitter. The Twitter handles should be in the description box, because this is an absolutely huge day. Comes right on the back of another one of Prince Andrew's friends getting taken down earlier in the week, which was Nygard. And Jean Luc Brunel. What was Jean Luc Brunel's relationship with Prince Andrew?
Well, I don't think Jean Luc Brunel was ever in that circle. I think he's not as big as he probably would want it to be. But definitely they might have bumped into each other, during certain visits on the island. Because at the end of the day, when you look into this Epstein, this Jean Luc Brunel, Ghislaine Maxwell, it all links back to a few places, and obviously the Virgin Island is one of them. This is a place where they were allowed to do a lot of things, and I think that any investigators that have dipped into it, they will realize that this is not about one island. This is about many Caribbean islands, many islands that are that have become a sanctuary for these billionaires. Some of them have private islands, most of them have private islands, and then they use this destination basically to evade the law. The dollars goes a long way out there, so you can come up from anywhere around the world with a private jet with kids on board. You obviously got to pay a bit of money just for everybody to look, the police or the immigration to look the other way. And then there you go. You are in a safe haven and able to do whatever you want. It's basically what was going on in these islands. And Peter Nygard or Brunel, Epstein, this is what Charles Branson, Richard Branson was a different guy. Richard Branson is, this is what these guys are doing. And this is why I've actually done a video recently about the 10 island challenge, which is not actually a 10 island, it's more like a 21 island project, which I will talk in a greater length, but I've seen some early investigators touching this subject upon, which is extremely interesting, because we are seeing a development of technology and renewable technology on islands which are located in areas with great storms and known for typhoons and and twisters. I mean, you name it. So why would you build renewable energy turbine or solar photovoltaic technology and panels on the path of storms? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and they call it sustainable. So what is the real motive? What are they trying to do here? What are we looking at? So this is really worth an investigation. I've done some of it. I've released some of it already on some of my videos. But what's important is to keep tap on the system, this structure that Weinstein was talking about, this construct, this real structure that has allowed basically as a vehicle to move the girls around, to launder money, to basically do so many nefarious acts in front of the bare eyes of our intelligence services and in front of the police. So something is not right. People are in the know, but somehow these people are allowed to carry on, and they've been doing this for dozens and dozens of years. So what can be done? Can we push our justice systems to give us the justice that we're entitled to? And can we put these people behind the bars? Absolutely. We just demonstrated that with a common push, with the public. At the end of the day, the numbers is with the public. We can make a difference. We just have to come together. We got to push on Twitter, on all the platform that is available to us, because we owe it to our children. We owe it to the next generations, so they don't have to fear these kind of things. They can grow up as children with their dream, realize their dream in an environment that is regulated, like the fashion industry, because still today there's a lot of abuses taking place. We're just not talking about it. The mass media is completely ignoring the subject. I mean, just to give you an example, yesterday after the news broke on Jean Luc Brunel arrest, nothing. Nobody's talking about it on the main channel. I think RT mentioned it for like 30 seconds, and that's about it. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's an embarrassment. And we need to change that paradigm. We need to address the problem of pedophilia. Why these people are like that? Is money is basically allowing people today to be above the law? We need to answer these questions and then bring them to justice. And we're going to keep this fight, that's for sure.
Absolutely. There's a news blackout, and it's people like Fred and other channels, like Ryan. You were on with Ryan early today, weren't you?
He sent his regards, by the way.
Thank you.
His regards. He's got a strap line for you, but I think you guys should talk and I'll give it to you. It's a pretty good one, you know.
People like
Andrew and Kevin Bacon, but I'm not going to say anything.
People like Fred and Ryan are keeping it in the news, and there's a cost of doing this. Yeah. They have taken Ryan's channel down repeatedly. They're trying to take my channel down repeatedly and destroy my reputation. But all of these actions against us, these black ops and the trolling, it just fuels us and gives us the energy to expose these bastards even more, and gives us the power to keep on going, because we know we must be close to the target. We must be close to getting it right. If they have to go out of their ways to take down people like us who have very little resources, we're just on our webcams, in our rooms, in our houses, and they're so scared of us, they got to come after us at the magnitude as they do. I've never seen anything like it on my channel right now. All my platforms are getting attacked. But we're getting results. We're getting results. And so the Epstein case is the biggest story in true crime. And I think it's going to be the biggest story in true crime of this decade because of results like this. Jean Luc Brunel gets busted. Maxwell gets busted. Maxwell's got a court hearing. Everyone's saying it's the fix is in. Maxwell's going to get bailed out. She's going to flee off to Israel. It didn't happen, people. And we were discussing this, weren't we, Fred, before, about the political power plays and the mafia, the changing of the guard of the political mafia in America, and how this works to one's advantage and to one's disadvantage. Because on the Epstein playlist on this channel, over 400 videos, the links in the description box, we have interviewed people at the forefront of this case. Ari Ben-Menashe, former US Israeli military intelligence. We've interviewed ex-CIA. We've interviewed victims who have talked about the inside chat, what these super predators were bragging about, how protected they were by the elites. So the conclusion we have reached is this was a vast honey trap, sex trafficking network, global, fully backed and protected by the CIA and probably the Clinton crime family, because the tentacles go all the way back to the Clintons. And if you look at how Bill is like just, yeah, Prince Andrew's taking all the heat, and I'm not really in the news much over this, but it was when Trump came in that this stuff really started to hit the news. Now, I do not support any politicians. Anyone at the top of politics is a psychopath. And I view the Republican Party and the Democrat Party as the Bonanno crime family versus the Gambino crime family. Politicians at the top are the most corrupt. And from what we've seen as well, they participate in a lot of this child sex trafficking. They're some of the most corrupt individuals in the world. They're out there holding the babies, getting the photo ops, but behind the scenes, they're taking kids from procurers like Jean Luc Brunel. So Trump's going out and a different crime family is coming in.
Yep.
Now, are these arrests suddenly coming about because Trump can benefit, even though he was involved with Epstein, the Clinton crime family and Trump enemies were far more involved, and the damage will be far greater to those people. What is your take on that, Fred?
Oh, you spot it on. Yeah, it's spot on. I mean, this Epstein case has been political from day one. It has never been about bringing justice to anybody, let's face it. It's politicized from day one simply because this is, this is a way to bring people together, understanding that, something can be done, but not at any cost. And the cost is basically you vote for me and I will give you what you want. And if that means to bring you Jean Luc Brunel on the chopping board, then I'll do it. If that means to bring Maxwell or Epstein on the chopping board, I'm prepared to do that. So it is politicized, and it's also a way to describe the other side as the more criminal than your side when both sides are criminals. I mean, the Biden, there's no need to talk about whether they are coming from a criminal background, because it's actually very well documented. So we don't need even to talk about it. Just read on the internet. It's there. It's not a conspiracy. And as far as Donald Trump, and I'm apolitical because I don't believe in politics. It's not that I don't believe in politics, the principle of politics, but it's just not existing, and it has not been existing for the past 90 years. We are being governed by technocrats, by a technocracy movement that has been absolutely revived, after the Second World War, and then more importantly, since the Jimmy Carter administration. The trilateral has taken over, and they've been promoting this economic model that called technocracy, and technocracy is an economic model that does not need politics. We're talking about developing a sustainable idea of an economy that is not subject to the fluctuation of the monetary system, which means that whatever currency, fiat currency, if the market goes down, it doesn't matter. You are not subject to this fluctuation. And that's what technocracy is. It's an economy that is based on resource and on energy. And from the moment you understand that, the word technocracy means sustainable development, because you cannot market the word technocracy. It's not a very popular word, and it's easier to say sustainable development. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're listening, when you're reading, and you see sustainable development, you replace this word by technocracy, and you know exactly who's behind. And that's what this big political agenda is about. It's about to get to where they want to go for the past 90 years. A bunch of lunatics is trying to take over a large part of the world. They want to control the resources. They want to control the energy. And I'm not inventing it. Trust me, I'm not interested in it, because you go to G20 in Saudi Arabia, the first thing they did is they pledged 234 billions towards fossil fuel energy. So what are we talking about here? Everybody's talking about the climate, the challenge, the environmental challenge, but they're still putting 240 billions towards fossil energy. So we know that they've been lying to us for a long time. There's a political agenda. Trump has a good reason, and Biden has a good reason. Biden will go towards the New World Economic Development, which are part of the discussions which we saw in Davos. It is part of a political movement that was written in the United Nations 2021 agenda, and then the 2030 agenda. So all the information is available to us to understand where these guys are going. I'm not going to go down into the Great Reset. It's not the point of that, but you understand what we are saying today. It's big power fighting for the control of the resources of this world. And if that means to put pedophile, if that means to put criminal syndicates behind the bar, they will do, because the agenda is more important than anything else. And if you understand that, I think that's going to help you to understand pretty much everything that surrounds you today in the news and in your day-to-day life.
So I just want to go over some prospective sentencing ranges for the 3 super predators that are presently behind bars. I'll just talk about 2 of them first, then I'll hand it over to you, Fred. So Nygard is facing extradition to the same New York district that is prosecuting the Epstein Maxwell case. So that really there indicates a political agenda, and power to them for taking these super predators down. Now, Nygard, he's 79 years old. The crimes that the victims are saying that he did, one of his own kids, his son, said that the dad brought in a prostitute to have sex with him when he was a minor as a rite of passage. So his own son was sexually assaulted. And then the other female victims are saying that Nygard had a system whereby he promised girls jobs as models. He would launch their careers. And when they got to his island, their passports were removed from them, and various sexual acts had to be performed while they were there, and it was all done to a schedule that he had that worked like clockwork. Pamper parties and drugs and alcohol were plied on the girls that refused, so they were date raped. Now, he has got to be facing a massive amount of prison time when these victims get up on the stand, if it goes to trial, and recount their testimonies. And power to them for being such brave girls to help bring it to this far, and the sons as well. Now, Maxwell, from the first indictment, is facing, I believe, approximately 35 years. Many people have looked at the charges and said they were too soft, but an original indictment does not preclude additional charges being added to it as information unfolds. And it also, when you have a conspiracy case, does not prevent additional co-conspirators being added to it as it unfolds. And it also does not preclude other jurisdictions indicting you as the information unfolds. So when you have committed crimes all over the world, you've got the New York federal jurisdiction nailing Maxwell, nailing Nygard, and now we've got the French nailing Jean Luc Brunel. But the federal district of New York that's going after Maxwell could also add Jean Luc Brunel to their indictment as well. So we see people who serve prison sentences only to be released to another country to be tried in that country, and they never get out. Like with General Noriega, he had multiple indictments around the world. Carlos Leda, he thought he was going to get indicted in other countries as well from the Medellin cartel, but he got a pass and he's free right now in Germany. I would love to interview that guy about his dealings with Escobar. Sure. So my question then for you, Fred, is, I know it's very early and this is pure speculation. You did say some of the charges earlier. What are the maximum years that Jean-Luc Brunel could be facing from those charges? Could other charges be added? And could other jurisdictions be added, including the federal district in New York that's got Maxwell?
Well, that's an excellent question, and obviously, I have to be very cautious about what I'm saying because I don't represent the justice system in France. So and we are notorious to give very, very little sentences to pedocriminals and pedophiles. So I'm not relying on most of the charges like rape or abuse, harassments. The charges for me that is extremely important is the sex trafficking, because you're evolving in terms of the penalty that you could receive for sex trafficking on an international level. That could really see him behind the bar for quite some time, because this is organized crime. This is conspiracy to commit a crime with not one person but many. So that involves basically a conspiracy. And as far as the legal system in France, then it will be subject to many years. If he only gets arrested for harassment and sexual abuse or rape, then these guys could be out after 18 months, even less. We've seen that so many times. Some even get a slap on the wrist, with a kind of a trial period where they're actually going to be out, serving their time outside of prison. So I wouldn't rely on that. But sex trafficking, human trafficking, you're touching a different league, and that league means a lot of years. So that's where they're going to push. The prosecution is going to want to find out were they actually a sex trafficking ring, organized out of France or internationally. What was the role of Jean-Luc Brunel in this particular sex trafficking ring? And then from that, perhaps I would say the FBI is going to want to come, maybe fly to France. There's not going to be an extradition right away. I think they might want to fly in to interrogate him and then actually ask the question they were supposed to ask him 10 years ago, when they were actually already asking him to, they wanted to depose Jean-Luc Brunel, but he kind of, escaped all that and always pretended that he was busy flying around the world, but he still has a lot of questions to answer. And I wouldn't be surprised the prosecution sent a delegation to France to ask him questions, because he knows a lot. He definitely knows a lot. He was extremely close to Jean-Luc Brunel, and he was probably one of Ghislaine Maxwell's best friends. They were very close. They spent a lot of time together. So he knows what Ghislaine Maxwell has in her mind what kind of person she is and how far this went, you know. So it really all depends, you know, what route the judicial system in France going to take. As far as extradition, I don't see it happening right now. But I see a cooperation, because it's an international investigation. If he got stopped in Roissy Charles de Gaulle in France, in this Parisian airport, that's mean he was flagged in the computers by Europol, by Interpol. That's mean this guy is a flight risk, because they were onto him. So they must have something extremely serious, you know, to arrest him. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. It's a bit too early, Shaun, to give time, and you know, it will be just. You know, I don't think it's my place to right now give you any kind of forecast, but we can understand what's happening, and let's give it some time.
Huge thank you to all the people on the live stream who've jumped on for this celebration occasion with Fred in France, who is at the forefront of researching and investigating Jean Luc Brunel. We've just gone over 2,000 live streamers right now. This is huge news. And again, all of Fred's links are down there in the description box. Please go over, support him, support the victims, and congratulate the victims. Now, Ryan Dawson sent me his Epstein map. I'm presently getting it framed. I wish I had it right here just to show to the camera. So Fred was on with Ryan Dawson this morning. And Ryan Dawson, he's had his YouTube channel shut down. He went to Ireland, and people protested outside of the YouTube in Ireland, and he did manage to campaign enough to get his YouTube put back on. But all the black ops are going against people revealing this information, because the information is affecting people in the highest realms of politics and celebrity and power and business. It's just one little clique of super predators that we're exposing. Now, on the Ryan Dawson map, he's connected all the people, and you can go up the chain or you can go down the chain. And people asked when Maxwell was arrested, you know, when there's a conspiracy case, what will the government do next? Will they go down the ladder and SWAT team raid girls that Epstein procured, but then turned into recruiters because they have committed these criminal offenses as recruiters, just to try and, you know, make an example of people and show that they're building the case to the public? Or will the government do an even better thing, and that is go up the rungs of the ladder to the super predators who are in even more powerful positions than Epstein and Maxwell? And if you watch my interview with Maria Farmer, I think it was the last interview she did before she was legally gagged, she said that Wexner, Leslie Wexner, Victoria's Secrets, The Limited, she said that Wexner was above Epstein and Maxwell in the honey trap op. And look at the property transactions whereby multi-million-dollar properties were just given to Epstein. Epstein didn't have to install new cameras because they already had cameras installed in them to do these filmings for the blackmail of politicians and other influential people. So people have speculated as to whether Maxwell's going to sing like a canary and give up Wexner. Perhaps Black, who we did videos on recently, who was investing tens of millions, I think it was, into Epstein. Black, talking this guy who's manager of one of the biggest funds in the world, investing tens of millions into Epstein on really what seemed like bogus reasons, saying he was giving him tax advice or something. And obviously that money, some of it was used to traffic kids to these super predators who perform these heinous acts on them. So the pressure should be on to go up the ladder. Now, what I'm getting to here, Fred, is we've looked extensively at the connections of Epstein, the Black Book, and people have told me that the Black Book and those connections, many of them were from Ghislaine Maxwell, and the Black Book was Ghislaine Maxwell's, because Epstein was the money man and she was the socialite with all of these connections. So we can see who Maxwell could possibly snitch out. Now, on the series that we've done with you, Fred, you've talked about Jean Luc Brunel's major connections, but could you give us an indication of which major connections, if he does agree to cooperate with the authorities, he is likely to have at the top of his list to cooperate with, to the government with, to give those names up?
Well, I think there's only one answer to that, Shaun, and it's definitely Prince Andrew. There's no bigger than that, because Prince Andrew is the catalyzer. This is the one that has allowed Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein to enter areas which were extremely difficult to enter. So she had a name, but Epstein had no name. So the person that gave Epstein credibility was Prince Andrew. So we have to go back to the islands, and we have to go back to the fact that Jean Luc Brunel was bringing these girls, these young girls, these very young girls from Eastern Europe, from Ukraine, from Latvia, from many other places, from Russia, obviously, but let's say from the Balkan as well. And these girls were trafficked through the islands. The islands offered a great network. And obviously, this is why we have seen Prince Andrew completely evading the FBI, because he knows that if he has to talk about, if we can get and prove that he was on the island, which we already have. I mean, Alexander's, the couple from South Africa, which was managing the property for Epstein, already said that. So we know that Jean Luc Brunel, and it's so many testimonies about Jean Luc Brunel bringing these young girls from model agency, under the cover of the model agency, to these islands, and they will participate to orgy. There was a complete program ready to go for Epstein. We know that Epstein was not living on the island all the time. He was always back and forth. He'll come, once a month, once every, and he will stay for a couple of weeks and then leave again. So there was a constant procurement of girls, and Jean-Luc's role was to basically making sure that Epstein at any time could select a couple of girls. These girls would be groomed in Manhattan, in the house in El Brio, or at the Zorro Ranch, until such a time they were ready to be basically trafficked to very famous people, to notoriety. That's why you have so many big names that went onto the island. They will not do that on mainland United States or in the UK. They will mainly do that on the islands that provide a privacy. You pay a little bit of money, people shut up. And then more importantly, you have a network, a logistic network that allows to erase a lot of traces. And I'm going to a little bit go on to that as well, because there is an island that is extremely interesting in this part of the world. It's called St. Martin's. It's an island that belongs to the French, but also to the Dutch, the people from Holland. And this island is fantastic. It's called actually the Friendly Island. That's how people call it back there, because it's an island that allows you to come in and out beyond basically any jurisdiction. You're basically don't exist, and you can literally vanish. You can land a private jet on this island, or you pay a little bit, nobody will know you will landed there, nobody knew that you will be leaving this place. And then the second part that is interesting on this island, is the fact that he has a very deep water, which allows basically a marina to accommodate very large yachts like the Limitless, for example, the XXM. The Limitless was the 300 plus feet yacht that belongs to Les Wexners, and these guys will basically use it because that's the only place they could park the yacht. There's no way they could enter the Limitless in St. Thomas back in the days before years 2000. It was just not deep enough until Andrew Farkas, this tycoon from the United States, this real estate tycoon, starting to build marina that's going to basically be able to accommodate these large yachts. So this is really what I'm interested in. How do they work with these islands? What is the logistic? Why the Terramar project, creating, some MPA, marine protected areas? It looks like for me they were really trying to build up something that leaves no trace. So anyone that is trafficking any of these girls, doesn't matter where they're coming from, no question is asked, and these billionaires can basically have this girl going from one island to the next without absolutely being interrupted. Any questions has been asked. That's what money buys you today: a private island, a yacht, and the silence of the jurisdiction or the police or the authorities. And that's why they were able to do it.
Just want to address some of the things that are coming up in the chat then, and we are going to take questions from the live chat in the final maybe 20 minutes or so once I've got all of my questions off my chest, because I've got so many. And I want to address some of the things that have risen in the live chat. So Maxwell does not have a bail bond. Maxwell is applying for a bail bond, and her lawyers have put together a proposed package of 30 million, 25 of which is coming from her husband, Scott Borgerson, and 5, I think, from the sisters of Maxwell. I might have to fact check those exact numbers later on, but it's something like that. So she has asked for a hearing. No, I think the hearing has been set for December 21st. Now, that is the day I am at Wildman's funeral. I would like to relay that information on a live stream. And huge thank you to all the people who have sent in the love and support, because for a month I wasn't able to do any videos. I did go on the True Geordie podcast recently, had a little cry, and it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders to go on the True Geordie podcast. Check it out. It's on the channel. And just to have a tribute video to Wildman, reminisce, talk about some of his stories. And it was really cathartic for me to do that. And now I feel Wildman's strength. He's looking down on me. He's probably up there with a 2-liter thing of cider from Bargain Booze. He's looking down on me and he's giving me his strength. He sees all these trolls and maniacs and black ops trying to take the channel down because of the good work we are doing. And I know how he would react to those people. But I'm just not even going to give them the time of day. And I'm actually going to thank them for the record views I'm getting, actually. Over 5 million views a month on YouTube since I've been coming under all these attacks from the trolls. So thank you, trolls, for this is a huge Christmas gift for me. Keep it up. Bring it on. Don't give a shit about what you say. No one believes anything what you say anyway. And it just further confirms our mission. So we've got Maxwell facing 35 years. Jean Luc Brunel, just to recap, is facing big time. And we've got Fred's first answer when I asked who are the names that Jean Luc Brunel will surrender to the authorities if he agrees to cooperate. First name Fred said was Prince Andrew. Yay! but I've said over and over again, this guy's untouchable. The US and the UK have a special relationship.
That's right.
And Prince Andrew, even though the lawyers for Virginia and Maria and the other victims are trying to get Prince Andrew, if he touches US soil, he's going to get served right away. And they want to get him to agree to give all this information. He's pretending that he's gesturing cooperation while not doing it, playing the victim, saying people are trying to make PR out of it, prosecutors trying to make the names out of it. But actually, he's shit scared to touch down in America because he knows he's going to get nailed right away, at least dragged into a legal quagmire and have to give some kind of information that could possibly be used against him. Now, Clinton, Prince Andrew are over that line where if co-defendants in a conspiracy case start to put those names forward, it's in the interest of national security to stop the case at that point. Maxwell's trial will never happen, I believe, because of this reason. Or if it does go to trial, she will be instructed not to name those names. It will just be a stage show, basically, whereby she knows basically what kind of sentencing range is going to come down. But I feel that she's going to be offered a plea bargain. She's going to be told, shut up, you can't name those names, national security, this overrides everything. She's going to be offered a plea bargain, and she's going to be told, you're lucky to get this 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Just go silently to prison, do your time, get on with it, and try and get on with your life when you get released. This is the best deal you're going to get. And that's what her high-priced legal team are going to say to her at some point. They're going to say, look, you can fight this, you could go to trial, you can't name these big names because of national security. If you lose at trial, you're going to get the super aggravated maximum sentence. So she's going to die in there, basically. She'll never get out. So that is what I think is going to happen with this case. Now, Fred mentioned Prince Andrew, but this is in the French legal jurisdiction.
Yep.
What does that imply now as for repercussions for Andrew? Because this is a whole new set of consequences is facing in a country that has its own national sovereignty and could act in a completely different way from America.
Well, it's an excellent question, and it's been bugging my mind, as far as what are the legal routes, But I think just to rewind a little bit, we need to understand that not everyone has the same justice here. So we have this oligarchy, we have this royals family of the world that are working together behind the scene, and they don't want to change this paradigm. So before getting these guys to be arrested behind the bar, before these guys feel that they are actually vulnerable like anybody else, we need to change the paradigm. We really need to change how the structure of the world is working. The aspect of democracy, the aspect of republic, the aspect of technocracy, all this needs to be understood, and the people of the world, needs to come together now more than ever, because 2024 is going to be a very challenging year for people. We need to really come together and decide whether we want to accept the paradigm that has been offered to us for the past 90 years, or are we going to say no to it and therefore change it? So it needs to explode from inside. I know there's a lot of people in governments, in police, in many other places. These are normal people. So the percentage is in our favor. There are good people. But there's also corruptible people that take money, that take advantages from this oligarchy because they just want to enjoy the money or the power that is given to them. But they are not a majority. So we need still to have some kind of belief in humanity and believe that we are capable to come together in order for these people to be accountable. And for that, we need a change of paradigm. We need to starting to destabilize the structure and the establishment, because if you don't have faith on the establishment, how long we can ride that wave? How long can we stay looking at this, knowing that the justice has not been served, knowing that people are absolutely not accountable or equal in front of the legal system, whether it's in the United States, in England, in France? It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. What matters is that unless we change this paradigm and we change this the structure that is in place today, that is not working for the humanity, not working in our best interest, then these people will remain exactly where they are, which is untouchable. We're going to grab once in a while a Ghislaine Maxwell of the world. We're going to maybe put a Jean Luc Brunel behind the bar once in a while. But who are the truly important people that are behind that? As you just said earlier, the bigger guys in this are just been walking around like nothing happened. I mean, Les Wexner should be already behind bars. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. He owns properties where girls were trafficked. I mean, that's not a good reason to arrest him. And I'm sure if you start to scratch, you're going to see that a lot of money is going to have to explain itself, because Shapiro didn't die for nothing, that the poor Shapiro guys in Ohio, Columbus died because he knew too much, because he was setting up some shell's company for Wexner to make sure that his money can go and travel in the Caribbean islands so they can be washed and then come back, and probably not only his money, probably crime family's money as well, since he had a lot of tie with the Cosa Nostra. So what we're looking at now is that we need to change from inside. When the change is done from inside, when we can dismantle what is not working, dismantle what is sick, because there's a lot of part in our establishment that is sick, that is behaving like a virus, controlled by psychopaths. So we need to clean that up. And then when we clean that up, you will see these people will fall naturally. Right? And that's the route that I will privilege, rather than to hope for things going to change when the paradigm remains the same.
Brilliant. So this live stream is going to end in just over 20 minutes. This is your opportunity, viewers, to put your questions now in the live chat, and I will put them directly to Fred. But I've also got a question for the viewers. I would like for you to let me know if you think that Julian Assange should be freed and not extradited to America, and Prince Andrew should be extradited to America or France, either, to face consequences for what he's done with these super predators. Please put a 1 in the live chat if you agree with that statement. That is right. with our mission statement on this channel of war on pedos, end the war on drugs. So I'm gonna go over to the live chat questions now and see what they are asking for you to say, Fred. Let's see. It's going quite fast today. Just loads of people just saying congratulations. What effect, Fred, will Brunel's arrest have on Maxwell's bail hearing? Could he decide to throw her under the bus, which increases her flight and suicide risk?
That's a good question, but this is you have to look at it the other way around. You know, Brunel has absolutely. It doesn't matter what Brunel say. Brunel is not in charge. You know, this is really, really a matter of hierarchy in that criminal world. You know, and she's definitely a general. He's a capo. You know, so there's are different leagues. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell. People have got it so wrong, and I've said it from day one. Epstein is nobody. He was a con artist. You know, he was liked, he was likable, he was humorous. He was mysterious. You know, like the Least family used to describe him like that. Especially the son used to tell him he was very mysterious. He didn't like to reveal himself. He was always full of secrets and so on. And he liked to be perceived that way, like a little, almost like a spy, if you will. You know, where Ghislaine Maxwell come from billions, from oligarchy, from absolutely, top-ranking power. The father is a member of parliament. He's probably spying for half of the intelligence community around the world. He's selling to the best bidder. So this is an extremely powerful person. We saw that during his funeral in Israel. He has half of the Israeli intelligence community, paying their respect. So clearly, we cannot compare Ghislaine Maxwell, that comes from basically aristocracy, and a Jean Luc Brunel that's trying to make a name out for himself to get some fun with a couple of pedophiles and some sex traffickers, and that's going to act as a procurator to make money and to get fun along the way. These are different people coming from a different background, and more importantly, with different connections. So will Brunel arrest affect Ghislaine Maxwell bail or request for bail? Absolutely not.
Okay, I've got a question here. I'm going to answer it first, Fred, and hand it over to you. From Gromia's Homias, will Maxwell ever get bond? So Maxwell, when she first applied for bond, many people said that the fix was in and she was going to get it and she was going to be disappeared, or facial reconstruction surgery. She's going to be on the same island with Kenneth Lay and all these other people. I said I wasn't so sure because the prosecutors, this is the case of a lifetime for them. They will fight tooth and nail. They are careerists. They aspire to be judges and run for political office. So there was this massive motivation in the districts that were indicting the super predators. And also what we touched on earlier as the power plays by the political dynasties. We had the Trump mafia, realizing that this was going to cause more damage to the Clinton mafia. So if if Maxwell keeps applying for bail bond and there's been a changing of the guard and Biden is the president and Biden is allied with the Clinton mafia, then the likelihood of Maxwell getting bailed out drastically increases. But my answer to your question is that presently the same two factors, the Trump factor and the prosecutors wanting to enhance their careers factor, they're going to be more powerful, I believe, than allowing a super predator to get out on bail, which is going to be a massive publicity disaster for the prosecutors, and the media will just be all over that and savaging those people. So I'll hand it over to you, Fred. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on that, it's really boiled down to what Ghislaine Maxwell has. At the end of the day, this is the value of intelligence. If she has gathered that intelligence, as she said she had, was her friends as well in the UK said that she had gathered, she had taped, she had this material against many prominent people in this world, then that's the end of the story. It doesn't matter which administration you're going to have. If she can convince them that she has something on them, and this has been basically, this will hit the fan, this will hit the media as soon as things that is not going their way. This is what direct this trial. What this whole operation is about is, does she has enough proof? Does she has the evidence that's going to compromise, the leading figures of this world? We're talking about the Clinton, the Trump. We're talking about top lawyers of the world. We're talking about big business, big name. If she has that on tape, it's game over. They're going to have to, to negotiate with her and then serve us a story, whatever they want, So it's down to their imagination as far as what story they're going to serve us. But I don't think we're going to get any truth. Right now, we're getting something because Trump is pushing a little bit and is using politically, this last push, to get as much people behind him. Say, you see, guys, I'm getting pedocriminal arrested for you. And then obviously our government here in France is doing the same because they can see the pressure is boiling. And as I said to you earlier offline, this is disobedience day in France. This is as bad as it gets. We have disobedience day, which means that we've already trying to become independent from our establishment. We have a CNT, a commission for national transition. That means we're asking the army to step aside with us, and we want to remove our government, the entire institution. We want to clean that up. So to do that, it's extremely dangerous. We know the president of the CNT has been arrested on Wednesday by the Secret Service. So we're in a situation that's boiling. It's boiling to a point that they know we understood that what they're doing is not right. And if we don't stop them now, this is going to carry on. It's going to get worse for us. It's going to get worse for us as far as journalists being able to speak freely. It's going to be really hard for us to basically remove these people. And more importantly, our liberty is going to be affected more and more by the days. And I'm not going to go any further than that, talking about the healthcare issues, because this is another debate. But I think you can see where I'm going with that. It's just going to a crossroad. And it's going to go one way or the other. There's no doubt about it. There's no more talk. There's no more negotiations. It's whether they change as the population of the world asking their governments to change. We want to get back to a world that we appreciate, that we agreed upon, with the rules that are set for the people, by the people. Whatever the administration is going to be there, whether it's going to be Democrat or Republican, that's not going to make me more happy. That's not going to give me more justice. It's just a tool, and they're going to use it to get where they want to go. That are going to affect our life? Is it going to actually help us to have a better life? Is it going to protect our children? Not at all. Not at all. So to answer your question is, some people want to make a career out of this case. Fair enough. People do. Lawyers do all the time. Judges use that to climb the ladder. I can't blame them. That's career. But at the end of the day, for government, for criminal, for crime syndicates, for people like Biden, even Trump, sorry guys, but these are all criminals. These are people that they are dirty, and I'm not doing it on a personal level, because before them they were dirty people. So they've basically taken over of a very corrupted world, a very corrupted establishment, and that's what they've been put in place to carry on this corruption. And that's what we are fighting. We are fighting for our future generation. I mean, I'm past 50 now. I'm not fighting for me. I'm fighting for the new generations.
So you mentioned this honey trap information that Maxwell might have. That, because this case is so high profile and all politicians care about is manipulating the public to get votes, that information has got to be the most sought after treasure trove of political capital in the world right now. Now, because of that, do you not think that the intelligence agency apparatus is doing everything it possibly can to get its hands on that, or it may possibly already have got it?
I think it's a bit of both. I think they have some of it because they're aware of it. I would never believe that this happened for 25, 30 years without them knowing anything about it. Of course they know about it, because we can see from the sweetheart deal that there is a corruption going on within the FBI, within the DOJ. So the corruption is really from inside. So asking if the intelligence community has the information intelligence community is the information. They are the information. They have something, they have a take into that, because it's a commodity. Intelligence information like this is a commodity. That's what Robert Maxwell used to sell to different intelligence, is what the other guys are doing and how we can catch them, messing around with kids. because that is the worst thing you can explain. You can explain money laundering, you can explain a lot of things, but messing around with kids, that's something you don't get away with it. So this is an extremely valuable commodity, and the intelligence that Maxwell has is what the intelligence services allowed us to gather. So yes, they have this intelligence already. They don't need to get it from her. They already have it. Now, which way they're going to play it and how they're going to use it, that's, for them to know and for us to find out.
Okay, so we got from Sue Hertz and Quadrex, will Jean Luc Brunel be Epsteined while in captivity in France?
Well, I don't know. I don't like to talk out of my, but to be honest with you, I don't think so. I don't think he's that important. I don't think he's that important, to be honest with you. I don't think his relevance, his knowledge is circumstantial, because he's obviously not only was part of something, but he was not the creator of it. He was groomed and invited into it, because he was already a model scout. The fact that he was misbehaving in the 80s doesn't make him a sex trafficker. Okay, we're moving from someone misbehaving and starting to harass girls to someone suddenly at MC2 and New York sex trafficking kids from the agency, coming from South America, Ukraine, you name it. That's a different league. That means you're coming from being a misbehavior, a little kind of petit criminal, to a sex trafficker. That's a complete different league. So what happened? What does he know? This is all, this is what's going to dictate the next thing. If he's going to go, and if they're going to make sure he's going to go, it's easy for them to do it. They can just do it like that. It's really not a problem. It doesn't have to be in New York. In France, it's the same. Rules applies the same. If you know too much, you're going to go.
Sego39 has asked, can Prince Andrew be compelled in any situation to give evidence, even in France or America? What's it going to get to take him talking? Let me just answer the American part then. So on the BBC interview, Andrew said he would cooperate with the authorities to the fullest. If there was any, if there was wrongdoing, he wanted justice to be served. Since then, he's just given out a litany of lies. He's gestured cooperation to save public face, which isn't working because we all know he's a phony and a fraud. What he's done from his legal team is said that he's being targeted because he's such a big name by prosecutors, and things are being released about him that shouldn't be being released. And how could he possibly be offering his full and helpful cooperation when the US prosecutors are his enemies, basically? So he's completely turned it around on them. He's a victim, like Fred said. Yeah. So nothing has been forthcoming there. He's off having straightforward shooting weekends and not even thinking twice about giving one iota of information to the feds. So do you think then, Fred, just adding to Sego39's question, do you think that he will employ the same devious PR strategy with the French authorities if they ask for him to cooperate with JLB?
That's an interesting one. I would definitely need to reflect on this one. There is a possibility. I think it will use the same techniques. Yeah, that would be my first answer. But yet again, I will need to reflect on this one, because
take time to reflect. That's fine.
That's far more implications. Some that I can talk about, some I can't, unfortunately, today. But,
Eight Ball Eyes wants to know, Fred, when do you think Les Wexner will be arrested?
My view on it is that someone big is going to go down before January 2021.
Wow, do you know something we don't?
Maybe, yeah.
Whoa, what is this, Fred? You're holding out? Fred's got the scoop.
I don't know. All I can tell you is there should be. It would make sense to me. I mean, at the end of the day, when you investigate, you just have this puzzle. You look at it as a crime, and you get this big body in your backyard, in your shade, and then you have the pictures of everyone, and you're looking who's going down, who's doing what are the moves that have been played. Bit of like a chess game, and I love playing chess. So.
Oh, me too. We'll have to do some sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, we asked Ryan to send us a bottle of sake, and then we, you know. Anyway, yeah, the idea will be to, I mean, the way I look at it is, it will be in the best interest. This is what I will play. You know, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of someone in power. What pawn that I will move today in order to be in a position of force. And if still today, you know, we have a president elect in the United States, but we still have a president that is the chief executive and the commander-in-chief of the United States. So he's got a couple of cards left, you know, he's not gone yet. And I think that we're going to see some move. I think, we should see a move. It will make sense. If he doesn't make a move, it's gone as far as Trump is concerned, and the hope that could come up out of Trump, you know. But if he's going to have to make his move, he's going to have to make it before the 25th of December.
So I'll ask you this one first, Fred. It's from Mark C. Where do you both see Maxwell and Prince Andrew 10 years from now? That's got our hamster wheels turning.
Well, for Maxwell, where do I see her? I believe that Maxwell, she cannot, you see, she has to serve time, you know, because at the end of the day, if it goes to trial, I know you believe in the fix, but the fix is too obvious right now. If there is a fix and a new administration in the US, it's just not going to fly. It's not in the best interest in Biden to organize a fix. So they need to come up with something that's going to satisfy both sides. You know, if you push too hard at once and you change that paradigm, that hope, that expectation that people have gathered over the months, over the past year about Maxwell being arrested and then obviously convicted, and then suddenly you take that away from people, that's just not good. It's not a good move, you know. So I don't think Biden will go down that road if he's elected. And if eventually Donald Trump was to stay as a president, I think he's going to nail it down really deep this time. And I think we will see some arrests, yes, some proper arrests. So yes, the future for Ghislaine Maxwell is behind the bar, because that's where she belongs. That's where I see her. As far as Prince Andrew, we all know that family members, royal family members, you know, they are all also expendable. You know, because at the end of the day, it's the survival of the monarchy. And if he finds himself in a position that is so unbearable, so compromising, that it's really jeopardized the aristocracy and the power in the United Kingdom, you know, we saw what happened to Diana.
Yeah, powerful response there, Fred. So in my world of ideal scenarios, we've had like a French Revolution style change in politics in the UK by 10 years from now. Julian Assange is the Prime Minister, and Prince Andrew is on a prison yard in America trying to avoid the consequences of the Aryan Brotherhood. And the only person who he can communicate with in that very same prison through little scrappy written notes that they have to pay the trustees to hand around would be Ghislaine Maxwell. So that would be my ideal scenario 10 years from now. Realistically, I don't think anything will happen to Andrew. Don't think anything will happen to Clinton. I think Maxwell, depending upon the changing sands of the political landscape in America, whether or not she's in prison, that will be determined by them, because she could just hand over some backsheesh to a federal court's judge for an appeal so many years from now, when this story is not as intensely in the media as it is today. She could hand over some bribery money, and that will have been greenlit, you know, by whoever's got the political power in that jurisdiction, and she could weasel her way out like that. That does happen quite a lot. And you all see the presidents even pardoning people Look at all the scumbags that Bill Clinton pardoned. All right, so next question for Fred from Layla T. What is your dream list of arrests going forward?
That's nice. That's a nice one.
Isn't it?
Can't
wait to hear this.
Let me get my BlackBerry.
No. Get your Ryan Dawson map out.
I think, to stay in the context, in the Jeffrey Epstein affair, I think my number one is Darren Dyke. I know it's maybe not the obvious one for most of the people, but for me,
explain who he is to people, Fred.
Darren Dyke is just basically the accountant. He's the lawyer and accountant and the closest friend of Jeffrey Epstein. He's the one that has set up all the shell company that has basically today is managing the estates of Jeffrey Epstein with Richard Kahn. So they're a group of accountants and lawyers. They've been managing Jeffrey Epstein's business, and they've been taking part of many, many things. In many aspects, they are completely aware of what's going on. They are the trusted basically arms of Jeffrey Epstein. Not too sure about the relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, but what we know is they were definitely involved in this. They knew what was going on, and they were facilitating this crime for money. Let's not forget that Darren Dyke used to live on the 10th floor of that property of Mark Epstein and Les Wexner in Manhattan, where the girls were stocked up there, and getting the visit from Ehud Barak and so on, So we know that Darren Dyke knows so much. We know that he removed computer from the El Brio. So that's the reason why this guy is dirty as hell, and he's been avoiding so far to be deposed by SDNY and also by the New Yorker office. So we need to get these guys on the oath and starting to talk, because if we get him to talk, we don't need the other guys. He knows everybody. He's the key man. He's the guy that will go after.
Yeah, so Indike's a really good response, because people think of all of the big headline names, but if you're a researcher on this case, he comes up again and again behind the scenes in all of the legal shenanigans that facilitate what Epstein did. And I think Epstein's brother as well has got some culpability with Indike. So you've heard the big names that I want to come out next: Wexner, Black, Prince Andrew. But if you look at the early videos we did on the Black Book, it is absolutely endless on the amount of people that, not necessarily because in the Black Book have committed crimes, but it could come out if Maxwell reveals it or if Jail Bill reveals it.
Well, let's not forget one person. Sorry, Shaun, to interrupt.
Go for it.
But one person that nobody talks about, and that is the neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein. That's Richard Branson. And I'm sorry to say it, because I like the idea of Richard Branson. Cool guys, well spoken, super smooth. It's got a lot of things going on, but I think he got away with a lot of things as well, because his mother, if you start to look into the history of Richard Branson, you will see that his mother was involved with Hillary Clinton, and they had a relationship with the Clinton in setting up a foundation that will eventually become the international center for the children that disappear around the world. And I've done a video on that for those that want to go and check it out. I don't have the acronym in my head right now, but what's important to know is that back during the time in the 90s, where the big Dutroux affair came out in Belgium, where the government of Belgium found himself in a really bad position. I mean, they really thought that it's going to be an uprisal. It's going to be basically a revolution in Belgium, because this big pedophile ring exploded, and Marc Dutroux was at the head of that. And then many other guys were arrested, and most of them have said that this was basically also controlled somehow by the government. The government was involved. So in terms of communications and how to handle such a crisis, what they thought was best is to actually approach Hillary Clinton to approach basically this National Center for the Children that have disappeared. There was only a national apparatus in the United States, and told them, we need your help. We need you to help us to basically control this problem, because we don't know what to do, and this was, we're talking about dozens and dozens of kids that were found in basements, that were raped, that was trafficked. I mean, you name it. It's just, some kids died, of starving in caves. I mean, we're talking about a very sordid case here. So the people that got involved in there, and as I said, we could probably talk about it when I have my notes, so I can give you more understanding. But what I'm trying to say to you is that Richard Branson's mother and Hillary Clinton and the wife of Tony Blair were at the launch of that very international apparatus. These people train 115 countries around the world on how to handle sex crime and handle basically the disappearance of kids. So, and it's much more to that. Trust me, you can talk about it for 2 hours. And this is where we're looking at. You need to look into that to understand how the Clintons and Branson actually had a long time relationship. So let's not forget about Richard.
Fred does not hold back on the names, and that is just such a powerful way to end this. A huge thank you. We've had a consistent 2,000 people watching on the live stream throughout this 90 minutes. And I think that is a credit to Fred's expertise, his reputation, impeccable, and also that this has been a breaking news story. I've seen the most buzz in the live chat that I've seen in weeks. So huge thank you to you, Fred, and the viewers for this celebration that we've had today. Is there anything you would like to say to the viewers before we stop this live stream?
I think, well, my message to end is to keep hope. I know this year has been difficult for a lot of us. We've gone through, obviously, confinement. We've gone through a lot of things, but you need to believe that we are able to change things. We can, but we need to believe in it, and we need to spread that word around us, and it starts by the people that live next to you, the people that you might meet at work. It's okay to push the border. It's okay to be sometime out of line, and to tell them, you got to wake up, because right now, this is humanity. This is the future of humankind that is in the scale, and we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our children. And I know if you're here and you're following Shaun and his work and the work we're all doing around the world, trying to say, hey guys, we need your help. Well, because we really need your help. It's not just us that can do anything. We're just here to have a voice internationally, whether it's from France, UK, or the United States. We have internet. There's no boundaries anymore. We're not going to be able to provide excuses to our children and say, oh, we couldn't do it, we couldn't talk, we didn't know. No. We know what's going on. We know exactly who are the people that are the architects of this nonsense, and we need to go after them, ask for accountability. I thank you all for your help, for your support. Come onto my channel. Please subscribe, because I need help. I don't even have 1,000 subscribers, and I'm really speaking, and I'm working 15 hours a day. And I'm sure Shaun does the same. So we're working really hard to get the truth out. So we need your support. And my last word will go to the victims, and to tell to every girls, that this is, we won a battle, but we haven't won the war. There's still a lot of work to be done, and we need to stay focused. But that is a battle, and we take it, and we celebrate it. Thank you very much.
I've got links for the victims on Twitter, Maria Farmer and Virginia, in the description box. At the top of the description box, we've got a link for Fred's YouTube channel, Fred's Twitter, and also the link for all of the hours and hours of work Fred has done on this channel. So again, please go down and support us. Thank you for everyone, just the outpouring of support that's been coming in about Wildman. It's just continuous. It happened today in the chat. Huge buzz in the chat today over this breaking news story. And all of your support in the last month, since Wildman death, I felt like you were there in spirit with me, giving me the strength to continue my mission. And that's in the face. Oh, hello. and that's in the face of all of the attacks coming in. They're trying to destroy the channel. They're trying to destroy my credibility. All kinds of crazy allegations flying around that don't have any paperwork or substance to back them up at all. But and again, it just shows that we're right over the target. I'm almost at 600,000 subscribers right now. It keeps climbing every month. So huge thank you to all the people who have subscribed. It is free to subscribe. Subscription logos in the bottom right-hand corner. In the description box are also links to all of our socials and the donation links. And just a few shout outs now to my fellow true crime podcasters. I went out to dinner with Yami B last night, and we got a huge collaboration coming up. I'm not going to reveal any details on that right now. Huge thank you to Marvin Herbert. Got more videos about to be filmed with Marvin. He put podcast 1 out in 3 parts. He said I passed his G test at the end of it. I had been honest. I had told him the true story. So we are working together solidly right now on more content, because I think people really like the dynamic of the awkward business student graduate who became an ecstasy person versus Marvin, the one-eyed hitman who got shot in the eyeball, but the bullet stopped in his eyeball. If it had gone in his brain, it would have killed him. I think people love that tension between us. It has created a huge amount of views on his channel. So please go over to Yami's channel and check his stories out. Please go over to Marvin's channel, check those stories out, and subscribe as well. I know people love to hear those hard-hitting prison and true crime stories. And we've got loads of great content, loads of huge collaborations coming up. True Geordie went out a week ago. It's almost got 400,000 views. It was a tribute to Wildman. Just go over onto True Geordie's channel if you want to watch that. It was very emotional. And I was spending all day in London yesterday filming 2 more podcasts with huge YouTube channels. Can't say which ones yet, but those are coming out in the new year. And oh my goodness, we covered so many stories and so much ground, and we had so much fun. I just can't wait to tell you what channels these are going to be on. So people, this is absolutely brilliant that this happened yesterday. Super Predator, 2 in 1 week. Nygard, Jean Luc Brunel yesterday. Who next? Who's it going to happen to next? And as soon as it does, you know, the BBC and all of those lame ass other channels, they might just show it late at night and not really focus on it. But we're going to bring you all of the details and all the expertise and run it right down like we have done today. So high five again, Fred. Thank you for that. Absolutely brilliant, man. And I might take it a little bit easy over the Christmas week, but I feel the force and the strength of Wildman in me, and I'm going to go full on when we get back to the lull after the Christmas break. So again, huge thank you, Fred. Huge thank you to the viewers. Love and respect from London. Yeah. Take care out there, everybody, during this crazy Christmas lockdown that we've got here in the UK. And I'm going to end this live stream right now because I'm just so pumped up over this news. I can't stop talking. All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you for watching. Thanks.